tournament. If you're headed south to do a little fishing, maybe some red fishing or speck fishing, why not bring home a new boat and a truck and, all the cash and prizes and stuff that they've got to offer. Like Mike said a little bit earlier, if you want to assure yourself of catching a tagged fish, just don't register. Guarantee you're going to catch a tagged fish if you don't register, and you're going to be that guy, the one that the rest of us are all laughing about, going, "Oh my God, just threw away that brand new truck." David, thank you, brother.
And guys, if I might, there's never been in my 10 years a more important time for people to become members of CCA. We don't know what we're working with now, so we need all the help we can get. 225-952-9200. Call us and join today if you would.
Best place to find you online. Give me the website.
CCALouisiana.com. Go check it out.
CCALouisiana.com. David Cresson from CCA, Coastal Conservation Association. Thank you, brother. Sit tight. Stephen Johnson's going to tell us what's happening on Toledo Bend. That's next. Hooking up and tracking down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Please just remember, right or wrong, I'm still in love with you.
Welcome back. This segment presented by Santone Lures, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Red River Waterway Commission, and Ranger Boats. Still building legends one at a time. Now back to the three best outdoorsmen of the radio world. It's Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and Mike Eccles.
Well, you had your chance. You could have turned the radio off. You could have gone, got out of your truck or whatever, but you didn't do it, so now you're stuck for another 15 minutes. Hooking up and tracking down, I'm Mike Eccles in the studio with Gary McCoy. Steve Graff just happened to pick another working day to go fishing, so he's over on Lake Fork snatching great big fish out of 30 foot of water with live brim.
It's a tough job.
That's right.
Somebody got to do it.
I know it. This part of our show is brought to you by Santone Lures, Toledo Bend Lake Country, Red River Waterway, and Ranger Boats, still building them one at a time. Speaking of one at a time, we have on the phone, I hope, Stephen Johnson from Toledo Bend. You there, buddy?
I'm here. I think I got us tied up on a good spot, so I think we're loud and clear.
Stephen, you know what? Now I took a little bit of your advice over the last couple of weeks and went down to Toledo. Now I didn't go south of the Pendleton Bridge, but I did try to spend a little time up around 12:15, and I was scratching my head as I think you have hit the nail on the head that the fish really are still scattered out so much. It's almost July, and these fish seems to me like hadn't even really started to stack up on a summertime pattern, or did I just miss them?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm sitting here on the edge of the bank, and you got 6 foot of hay grass, you got 6 foot of water around the hay grass, you got 4 and 5 foot of water on the cypress trees. And, you know, as long as those bluegill and the shad and the bait stay up there, it's got these fish just scattered. And I've been here a long time doing this, and I just don't ever remember them being this scattered. There's really it's almost just no pattern to anything. You know, you catch some on topwater, you catch some on wacky worm, catch some on Cinco. You know, it's almost like, you know, we got tickled last week where you throw out there and catch one, and as soon as you catch one, you best put that down and pick up something else. So, it's, you know, the fish are winning right now, you know, but it's still, you know, it's still good. You know, one of the boys, Mike Corleone up there on 1215, he texted me a picture yesterday. One he caught, he was out, you know, scouting around for some trips, and he had one that weighed 912. So you know, he caught it on a worm, you know, not deep, you know, pretty shallow. So, you know, there's still some big ones being caught and some, but, you know, for the most part, it's tough. I mean, it you know, and when I say it's tough, you know, a lot of people say, well, yeah, but, you know, 20, 25, you know, fish to a day, you still think it's tough. Well, let me tell you this, it's been, you know, 10 to 12 to 15 fish.
Wow.
So, and even the sockeye has slowed down. I mean, we just pulled in here getting clean today, and I think I've only got 34 this morning. You know, I had a couple good guys, you know, that can fish, and they're just not biting. They're there, and man, it's almost like Mother Nature is just winning right now.
Well, let me tell you something, Steve. If all y'all have done today is 34 crappie, I would not even fool with cleaning them. Just put them in an ice chest, ice them down, and set them out. And, I mean, I would not even get my hands dirty for 34. I'll be by, and I'll take them off your hand. You don't have to worry about that.
And 30 of them are I don't know, you know, I'd say 30 or 28 of them are, you know, a pound and a quarter, a pound and a half and bigger. One thing about it, they're big.
Oh, those are too tough for you to eat.
Yeah, you don't want to fool with those. Yeah.
They get, the tougher they get.
Hey, let me tell you something, Stephen. I've got a friend of mine, Randy Sellers, listening to the show. He's listening right now, and he's been going down to Toledo, and he told me, he says, look, this is 2 weekends in a row that y'all have got Stephen off on something other than the fishing on Toledo. I want to go down there. I want to know what the fish are doing. So we're going to keep you focused right now. You talk about the fish being scattered. There's always an upside to everything. You know, with fish being on so many different patterns right now, it does mean that you can go down there, and you may not be a strong deep water fisherman, but you can still go down there right now and catch fish shallow. You know, that's one of the beauties of them still being spread out like this, is because you can catch a few fish doing just about anything. Is that right?
That is correct. And one thing, and I get spun out, and a lot of other guys get spun out too, because we'll go up and catch some shallow, and then we'll run out and catch some in that 12 to 15 foot range, a few. And then there's really hadn't been a whole lot of thermocline to speak of, and I caught some in 22 to 26, but there's just no group. And I honestly think somebody coming this weekend, coming the next week or so, if you will just come over and do what you have the most confidence in. You know, there's a lot of guys throwing a bunch of frogs, you know, up on the hay grass, up against the cypress trees in the bushes. Those fish are there. If you like to throw a worm, you know, the problem is once you get out in front of that hay grass, there's some coontail, milfoil a little bit in some areas. Those fish are sitting out on the outside of that in like 6 to 9 foot. You know, but if there's no grass, if there's no hydrilla, don't fish out there on the bear. Don't be scared to throw that worm or throw that frog all the way up there on that dirt, because if you really get up there and look, the water's super clear. There's a lot of bluegill, and some of the bluegill are still up there bedding. So every once in a while, you'll see going down the bank, you'll see a big one blow up. People say, "Oh, that's a carp or a gar." It's not. It's one of them big ones up there, you know, chasing those bluegill around. So that's what I would say. Anybody's coming over here, and really the whole lake is kind of, you know, doing the same thing. You know, my kid worked over the weekend, had a couple guys from Natchitoches he took, and Saturday he stayed up on the north end. He fished from the bridge north, and then on Sunday they really stayed from Indian Mound south. And you know, us talking and some other guys, it's kind of the same thing all over the lake. It's not one end of the lake's better than the other, and it's almost funny in the mornings now, because there's a big group of people on the Louisiana side. They're running over in the Housing and 6 Mile, and the guys in 6 Mile housing are all running over to Louisiana.
It's always better on the other side of the fence, isn't it?
Now, Stephen.
They're high-fiving each other on the way across.
Now these 90-degree days, mid-90 days that we have, and no rain in the forecast, is this going to change the trend? Is it going to take a few weeks of this to put the fish in where they should have been for the last month?
I think I hate to even say this, but I think it might take longer than that.
Really?
The water is just so high. I mean, they've got the floodgates open again right now. We're still, one generator's been broke, and it's been broke really for a year. We've only got one generator that got the floodgates back open, and it's almost like they'll get it right at 172, and then they'll shut the floodgate, and in the next 4 or 5 days it'll creep back up 2 inches, 3 inches. The creeks are still. My deer lease is right south of 6 Mile, and the creek, you still can't ride your wheel through the creek. It's too deep. There's still a lot of water coming out of those woods, coming in the lake. So I really think, I hate to even say that, but I really think it's going to take a little bit more time. Get that water down. If it gets around 171, and it gets hot, then he'll push the bait, he'll push the shad, everything off that bank. And once you push it off that bank, then I think you'll start seeing some of them fish, group up. This time of year, it's always tough, but it almost like it just all of a sudden something happened. It was like a light switch hit kind of last week, and mainly last week, it was really on that declining moon.
Mm-hmm.
The moon started going down. It just got tough. But what's crazy, Rayburn's 30 minutes from here, and, I fish over there too, and it's just the opposite. Those fish over there have lit up, and it's they're eating, but the water over there is falling real fast. So these ponds are so close together, but it's a big difference between one and the other. But I really think the guys are coming over this weekend. Over 4th of July. It's just whatever you like doing. If you like throwing a frog, if you like throwing a pawpaw, if you like throwing a Cinco, get up on that bank and fish, and you'll really be surprised at what you can catch. Through the day, and honestly. I would say it'd be better from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, the hottest part of the day, because what it's going to do, it's going to push those fish up against the cypress tree, up against one of those green buck bushes, up there where they'll be a little bit easier to find than early in the morning.
Now, Stephen, if somebody is wanting to guarantee that it's going to be better than it would have been if they tried it on their own, they need to get in the boat with you or one of your guides. How do they make that happen?
You can give me a call on my home number. It's 409-579-4213, or you can look me up on the website, and it's www.johnston with a T in it, johnstonfishing.com, and there's an email link off of there, and you can give me a shout. One quick thing, let's be safe, everybody, this weekend. July 4th, there's going to be a lot of people here fishing on just not Toledo Bend, all over the state. So everybody, when you're running down the boat lane, if you're running at the Red River, before you shut down, before you make a turn, anything, look over your shoulder. Everybody wear your life jackets, and let's have a great, safe 4th of July.
Amen, amen. Especially if you're planning to do a little night fishing. I mean, it just gets stupid at night. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity in the daytime to get hurt. Use a little extra precaution if you're at night. No drinking. Too much time for that on the bank.
That's it. There's nothing wrong with drinking. Everybody just pull your boat up and tie your boat up and go up and set at your camp and have a cold one and enjoy it and watch the fireworks. And the next morning, get back up and go back at it again.
That's the reason my boat's going to stay in the garage.
Stephen Johnston, check him out online, johnstonfishing.com. Brother, thank you, and have a happy 4th of July.
Y'all too. Y'all have a great day. And tell Steve we need some of them reports on what he catches on that live rim with them popping parts.
We're gonna find out here in just a few. We'll have Johnny Geis on with him. Sit tight. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, presented by Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana, Cypress Knee Outdoors, and Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis, the 2015 and 2016 Lake Fork Guide of the Year. Now back to the best outdoor show in America with Gary, Steve, and Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down. It's Gary McCoy, along with the old mud hen, Mike Eckel. Steve Graff in the boat with Johnny Geis. We'll try to talk to them here in the next 15 minutes or so. Hopefully here in the next few. Fishing legend Harold Allen going to be on the show with us. Give us a little bit of insight as to what it's like to wake up in the morning and be Harold Allen.
Well, he didn't answer the phone. I hope this isn't one of those humorous, whatever you call it, interviews. Hope we don't have to send flowers to Harold.
Hey, while we're waiting to try to get hold of Harold, I got to congratulate the kids from Benton Middle School. Back to back, babe. Excuse me, back to back.
Getting choked up about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff. They are world champion archers. Just went to the World Championship in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and not just in one division. They are world champions in both bullseye and 3D competition. And not only did they win the world champion, they have best in the world on the Benton Middle School team. She is Emma Bunch, number one spot, shot a 291 out of 300. What are the odds? I mean, you shoot a bow a lot. What are the odds shooting a 291 as a middle schooler?
I would have to have 291 painted in big letters for me to shoot a 291. And just shoot at the sign that said 291.
That was followed by Caitlin Meisenheimer. She shot a 289. And she got a third place
I've never
finish.
even bowled that.
Aiden Hare placed third in the male division, had a score of 289. In the bullseye competition, Abby Rutledge came in fourth in the world. She also shot a 291. Now, it didn't just stop with Benton Middle School. Houghton Middle's team also did very well. They placed 24th in the bullseye in the world. And then in the elementary level, the Benton Elementary Tigers were right there. They took second place in the world in both the bullseye and the 3D competitions. Kingston Elementary, their inaugural year, first time to the world, they placed third in 3D, fourth in bullseye. And Kingston's Kennedy Hulsell did extremely well for her team, placing fourth in the world among all the female elementary archers. So I'm telling you right now, if you want a new one, what do they call it? These challenges where it's survival of the fittest. They've got these amazing.
Making afraid.
Yeah. So run through Bossier Parish with a deer target painted on you, and run past the middle school or the elementary school, see what happens.
Is it really a sport if the girls outdo the boys?
Yes.
I agree.
Amen.
I agree.
Yes, man. Yes. And you won't ever catch me saying anything different. We do have, while we continue to wait for Harold, I sent Steve a text and still haven't heard from him. Maybe they're listening to the show right now. Steve, check your phone. We've got a couple of people who have stepped outside the law, from what I've understood. Some new outdoor outlaws.
This is one guy. And
Okay.
I thought this was a new story.
Yeah.
And I hope I can talk about this for 10 minutes.
You talking 10 minutes is no problem.
Yeah.
Getting you to shut up after 10 is the problem.
Oh, my God. I hope you're hearing this graph. I saw this on the computer the other day, and come to find out, it is not a new story, but it's pretty interesting. This happened in. Here's the tale of a Rockwell prosecutor who charged a well-known professional fisherman with attempted theft for cheating in a bass tournament. Now, this did not happen within the last year or two. Robbie Rose, 45 at that time, of Garland, Texas, had cheated in the Bud Light Trail Lake Ray Hubbard Big Bass Tournament in order to win a grand prize of a $55,000 Legend bass boat. But things just didn't go well for him. In order to get his Legend bass boat, Rose stuffed a 1-pound weight down the throat of a 9-pound bass before he weighed it in.
Wow.
Now, this was a big fish tournament, overall winners and hourlies and everything. But when his actions came to light, he was sentenced to I can't believe he got off this light. 15 days in jail, fined $3,000, and put on 5 years probation, and forced to surrender his fishing license for I think 5 years also.
Okay.
So
Now, what's that? Is this Texas?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like Ray Hubbard over in the Dallas area.
Okay.
ESPN reports that as Rose was led away, the fish handler and the tournament director, Brian Davis, who is part of the Davis family that's running the Bud Light Trail, noticed a pronounced lump in the fish's stomach. Curious, the officials touched the lump and they found out it was hard. They placed the fish in a holding tank where it immediately sank to the bottom.
Wow.
Couldn't get up.
Wow.
So it was just sitting on the bottom. Davis said normally a fish will hover and not sit on the bottom, but it couldn't stay in one, and it couldn't swim. So neither Rose nor his wife at that time were available for a comment. But Texas Parks and Wildlife wardens were present at the tournament, and the game warden, Tom Carbone. We had a local angler, Sammy Carbone.
Sammy Carbone.
Yeah.
He moved over to Lake Fork.
Okay. Anyway, Tom Carbone was the first on the scene, and he, from the beginning, Carbone and the Texas Parks and Wildlife treated the matter like a criminal investigation and took statements from tournament officials and other witnesses. It's no surprise that Rose was caught, considering how often the professional bass fishing tournaments run polygraph on anybody that wins sizable amount of money. But he wasn't caught because of the polygraph. He was caught because his fish couldn't swim.
Yeah, that'll give you away every time.
Let's see, but see, from 1997 to 2004, Rose tried to make it in the big leagues. He entered 21 events in the Bassmaster circuit and didn't do very well. He never finished higher than 54th. So out there where they're watching you, he couldn't do very good, and he finished as low as 299th out of 300. He averaged winning $31.75, which is somewhat misleading because all $666 he earned in one tournament.
I got you.
So he failed at his attempt to fish with the big guys, so he returned to calmer waters on the amateur circuit in the Texas area, where he immediately found success. Couldn't do it out there in BASS, but he comes back and starts fishing locally, and he zooms to the top. He won a Bass Chaps tournament at Cedar Creek in 2007. Rose's winnings totaled over $120,000 in that circuit.
Wow.
$120,000 on Bass Champs. But while Rose was reveling in a $20,000 victory, other anglers were grumbling. Just how did Rose manage to win a team event when he was fishing solo? So he's fishing a team event, Bass Champ, fishing by himself.
Now right there, that's one of those times. That's one of those times when that opens the door to other teams complaining about that. If you're going to fish a team tournament, then there should be two people in the boat.
Well, there should be.
Yeah.
But there's, even like in our stuff, you can enter the team event and fish by yourself.
Yeah.
Your partner can't be there.
Yeah.
You can't restrict somebody.
I remember the day when that was not allowed.
Well, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but you understand from a tournament director standpoint, if somebody wants to walk up and say, here's my money, I want to fish.
It's hard for you to turn it down.
Absolutely.
But people just did before, I guess.
Just how did Rose manage to win the tournaments fishing solo? How did he manage to land a limit of 5 fish when all but one of the other 234 teams failed to boat 5 fish? So he was
the only one by himself
that had a 5 fish limit that day.
Wow.
So Captain Gary Collins of the Texas Parks and Wildlife says his office regularly gets complaints about cheating in bass tournaments. Most of them are nearly impossible to prove, basically amounting to a little more than hearsay or losing anglers sour grapes. Now, you see a lot of that. Yet Collins and the game wardens went to great lengths to catch the alleged cheaters in the act. In one incident, having received pages and pages of complaints about an individual, Collins mobilized all his resources. He had his wardens on the bank watching the accused anglers through binoculars, and he had wardens in the boat posing as tournament competitors.
Yeah. No luck?
Well, the target that day was accused of much more a much more common method of cheating, which was staking out fish, catching big fish before a tournament, put them in a live well cage, and then trying to go into the cage during the tournament and retrieving the fish, and then either somebody doing it and then passing them off to the tournament anglers.
Yeah.
They came up empty that day. It's really hard to catch them pulling fish out of a cage, but they just wait till they're alone. If somebody's got fish out there in a cage or a net or something, they're not going to go up there and get the fish out if there's another boat inside.
I'm gonna ask you. I mean, you have been doing directing tournaments for longer than anybody I've ever known. Between you and Don McCutcheon, I want to say that, and Bob Seeley, that nearly every tournament in the last 25 years, one of the three of y'all has done this. Now, I got a question for you. In all the years that you've done this, have you ever caught anyone cheating in a tournament yourself?
I have had one incident in a big bass tournament where somebody failed the polygraph, and I honestly do not think that person cheated in the tournament.
Really?
But it came out later that that individual had embezzled some money from like Little League ball, something else.
Yeah.
And I in that circumstance right there, I think the questions about cheating and stuff triggered what had happened and caused him to fail the polygraph. I've had two more incidents where we had one incident that I was not involved in out on Cross Lake where the people just refused to take the polygraph. They won the tournament, refused to got in their truck and drove off.
Wow.
And later admitted that they had done something wrong.
Really?
They have since been.
Now, it could have been they just fished in off-limits waters.
No, they did something bad.
Huh.
And had another incident where where we had an angler fishing by himself most of the time without a partner, and when he fished by himself, he did really well, and he failed 2 polygraphs.
Wow.
It's since been banned. So
what do you as a tournament director, what do you see as a whole? Are we the competing anglers, are we the best police on a situation like that?
Absolutely. And I get this a lot. Not pertaining to cheating, but pertaining to infractions like somebody didn't have their life jacket on, somebody didn't have their lights on. And it's every time I saw somebody do this. Well, who was it? Well, I don't want to say. I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to cause trouble. But if you bring an incident, whether it's something as simple as a rule infraction, if you bring it to a tournament director's attention and are not willing to tell who did it, I always tell them, say, well, it's hearsay.
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
What do you do if you're informed, hey, Gary McCoy wasn't wearing his life jacket, cranked the big motor, Gary McCoy did that. If Gary McCoy wins the tournament, is that an automatic question that's on the polygraph at that point?
Yeah, if I would go to you before the polygraph and ask you, did that happen?
Yeah.
And, and I'm not big on, I'll DQ you in a heartbeat over if you need to be, but I lean, like BASS does, I lean more towards a penalty than a disqualification. Not over cheating.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a rule infraction. You forgot to put your life jacket on. Should you be DQ'd for that? No. But you might sustain a 3 or 4 pound deduction from your weight.
I got you.
So
what do you think about the situation with Greg Hackney?
I talked to Hank Weldon the other day, tried to get Trip Weldon to talk, and they were all coming back from New York. I think Greg screwed up. I think he made a mistake, an honest mistake.
Explain that situation real quickly before we go to break. Explain what happened. Greg was just DQ'd. His first day's catch was disqualified.
While he was leading for Angler of the Year. The only thing I know that where they were fishing, they had several I'm assuming it was like private marinas.
They were off limits.
Pockets that were supposedly off limits. Bass did what they could to mark them on a map. The one that Greg fished in the first day was supposedly one of them. And, the way I understand it, Greg asked his marshal, is this one of the, which you can't do that. You can't.
So the marshal is not a tournament official?
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's not. And he should have never answered it. But, Greg Hackney, as good as there is, as good a guy as there is, just shows you. Kevin Van Dam screwed up. He got DQ'd one day. Iaconelli's got DQ'd. Dean Rojas got DQ'd right here on Red River.
Yeah.
For making a mistake.
Yeah.
There's a difference in doing that and
cheating.
What we're talking about, where a guy put a weight down a fish's throat to try to make it weigh more. We don't even put those in the same conversation.
Well, obviously, we weren't able to get hold of Harold Allen. We'll try to do that maybe next week, somewhere along in there. Next, our Gamakatsu question of the day: how much water should be or can be turned into private off-limit waters? Happens a lot on Red River. If you think about it, we're hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
Welcome back to Hooking Up and Tracking Down. This segment presented by Bob Seeley Outdoors, Daiwa Rods and Reels, Sam Rayburn Marina Resort, and Toledo Town and Tackle, the largest tackle box on the Bend. AM 1130 The Tiger would like to remind you that the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show is now airing twice each week. So tune in every Saturday morning from 6 to 8 for another round of outdoors radio. Once again, here's Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff. Take it away, guys.
Well, welcome back to Hooking Up and Tracking Down. I'm Mike Eccles, sitting here looking at Gary McCoy that doesn't have his headphones on. And we're supposed to bring us back, and he's sitting here punching on his phone.
Yeah. Well,
so he leaves it to me to screw up.
Well, I'm trying to find out where in the devil we could get hold of Harold Allen, but it just didn't work out that way. So we'll get him another day.
Harold is like having Jimmy Houston or somebody on the air. You just give him the microphone.
Well, I was looking forward to this.
Oh, I know it.
I feel let down.
I love Harold to death.
If you're looking for the high-quality rods and reels, make sure you take the time to look at everything that Daiwa has to offer. Popular models like the Steez, the Zillion, and their latest series, the Tatula. Quality, innovation, and durability makes the entire Daiwa lineup hard to beat. With so many models to choose from, Daiwa is sure to have a combo that fits your budget. Go to Daiwa.com to learn more, or check them out at Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Cypress Knee Outdoors, or Toledo Town and Tackle. Daiwa, where quality and technology all come together. All right, you came up with this. The Gamakatsu question of the day today.
I did, because Graff sent me this format, and he left some blanks in it.
Well, I like this. How much water should or can be turned into private off-limits waters? And this all comes as a direct result of exactly what just happened with Greg Hackney. And if you're not aware, Greg Hackney was supercharged in the lead to become the Angler of the Year, was leading that charge, has since dropped to 4th place in the Angler of the Year. Gerald Swindle, which we love Gerald as well, but
Absolutely.
even Gerald says, hey, look, this isn't the way I want to win. I don't want to win at somebody else's misfortune. Now, I'm sure that he'd still take the check.
He'll take the check.
Yeah. But if you're unaware, we mentioned this a minute ago. Greg was fishing Cayuba Lake up in New York, and apparently after it was discovered that he was fishing in off-limits waters on the first day of competition, that day's catch, and I want to say it was 18 pounds and change, that day's catch was disqualified. He was able to catch 15 pounds the next day, but it wasn't enough to move him into the third and fourth day's competition. And because of that, I mean, it cost him big time. And so it makes you wonder, like even here on Red River, our thought was an assumption for years and years and years.
Let me stop you right now.
Okay.
Jack Rothell just said that if you start the program and you don't have your headphones on, you get a 5-pound penalty. Thank you, Jack. Because you're on my side.
That was my whole whole third tournament in the Boss tournament this year. Anyway, you think about this now. Here on Red River, we've gone through years of that. Especially, you've seen it time in and time out. That you could fish coolies, you couldn't fish coolies, you could fish coolies. No, you can't fish coolies. And even BASS has gone through that. The barge turnaround has been a problem. The old assumption was that if you could get to it by water, if it was navigable by water, then it was okay to fish, and that's just not the case. Ask some of the classic anglers who fished down in South Louisiana the last time that the classic was held in New Orleans. Some of them even got shot at. That ain't it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you can get to it by water, it's public water. Not true. It's never been written anywhere in any law has that been written. However, we grew up hearing that. But the fact is that it's not true. So just get that out of your head and quit using it as an argument. Real quick, I'll go over what's happening. A lot of people know, and a lot of people don't know, on Red River with the Cooley property. Cooley Lake in the back of the Port Lake.
Yeah.
Yes, that is legally by law, that is private water.
Mm-hmm.
They won in court, and the reason they won was because when Pool 5 was being built, the Cooley Land Corporation contacted the Corps of Engineer and asked them what the level was going to be there. The Corps of Engineer gave them a level, a mark. They came in and built a levee across a piece of their property. Mm-hmm. That was above what the Corps of Engineers said the water level would be. Mm-hmm. Kind of two mistakes were made. The levee was built out of a lot of sand, mm-hmm. And then the Corps of Engineers missed their mark by about 3 feet.
Oh, wow.
So when Pool 5 was complete, the water level was not where it was supposed to be. It was 3 feet higher, which put it up on the levee that they had built. And the erosion through the years ate away the levee. Now it's about 80% gone. But according to the courts, that land back there was not supposed to be part of Pool 5. Mm-hmm. It was a mistake on the Corps of Engineers. So the Cooley Land Corporation won in court. Yes, that is their property. Yes, they can keep you out of it.
Okay, let me jump into something real quick because we were going to try to fish the Red River this year with Boss, but it didn't work out that way. The river level was too high. Not knowing that area nearly like some of the other anglers do, if I were going to fish in that, and you had determined that was off limits, because the levee is mostly gone now? How do I know where that place is?
That's your responsibility.
Okay.
And that's coming from that's tournament director talking.
Yeah.
But Trip Weldon and Bill Taylor and them all tell you the same thing.
Okay.
We can't tell you everything.
Yeah.
And I do believe that sometimes the anglers want to be led by the hand.
But as a couple of buddies talking, would you be able to say, "Hey, when you come to the tall timber there," or
no, I can't tell that. I can't.
Yeah,
it's gone.
Yeah. Okay. So there really is no way to know.
No. And the question is it the property owner's responsibility to go out there and put signs out? Mm-hmm. on land, it is not. It hadn't been but, 10 years or something like that.
Since we got the new laws.
Louisiana passed the same law that Texas has where we don't have to put 4 strands of barbed wire up, and we don't have to put a sign every 100 feet.
Right.
You know that you don't own that land.
Right.
It's not yours. You know it's not.
Right.
So it's your responsibility to find out who is it.
Yeah.
Does that or should that apply to water? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm up in the air on that.
Yeah.
But I do know that BASS with Greg Hackney went to a lot of trouble to make maps and mark what they did. Now, what I hope we can get Trip Weldon. As a matter of fact, tried to get him on the show today and couldn't because of him traveling back from New York. But I'd like to get Trip on the phone. I'd like to get Greg back on the phone because you look, Hackney DQ'd. Well, that looks like a black eye.
Yeah.
But not if you sit down and you hear the whole story.
Right.
Greg made a mistake. He didn't he didn't do something he wasn't supposed to do.
Right.
But where does the responsibility fall? Does it fall all on the tournament organization to make sure you know? I saw BASS when they had one of the opens down here. A guy had practiced in, I think, Stevens Lake down out of Coshada. And then the night before the tournament, they started saying Cooley's, this, and Stevens Lake. And this guy stands up and he just starts raising Cain. Well, I didn't know that. And wasn't him. It was Chris Bowes, I think. He said, "Hey, it's your responsibility to know where you're fishing, not my responsibility to find out where you're fishing and tell."
Should BASS or any other organization make sure that those places are communicated to the competing anglers before the practice period starts?
The bottom line is, if you have any doubt, that's what should have happened with Hackney. Hackney should have called Trip Weldon.
Yeah.
If you have any doubt, it's your responsibility to call and find out.
Yeah. I know that Graff and
it can't all fall on the tournament organization. It can't all be their responsibility.
Right.
The anglers have to accept some of it.
But I guess my point is if all of a sudden, there was no area that was deemed inaccessible or off limits, and you go down and you start practicing in an area that nobody said you couldn't fish, you start practicing there, you spend your entire 2-3 days of practice time in that area, and then all of a sudden the night before the tournament they say, oh, by the way, these are the off limits period. I think I'd gripe a little bit myself.
Well, in the case of BASS Stevens Lake, that was off limits.
Yeah, okay. So it was already deemed off.
It just wasn't. It's not marked.
Gotcha.
Well, and then you got the issue we'll get in some other time about, and it came up on the blogs with BASS and Greg Hackney. People talking about people stopping you from fishing under their boathouses. Mm-hmm. That's a source. That's a different animal right there.
I've never been run off of a boathouse. In
fact, I have.
I've never been run off a boathouse.
Yeah. And I do not think you've got the. We need to cut it off.
Well, when they came out there to say something to you, what did you do?
I told them that they are the ones that built the pier on the lake, and it's not their fish that's under it.
Right.
The fish belong to the state.
And
I kept fishing.
No fear?
Hey, she was 80 years old. I could have took her.
Sit tight. Johnny Geist has got it going on. He and Graff were out on Lake Fork this morning. We'll find out what they did. I got a couple of good pictures here. We're hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Once again, you're listening to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show presented by Natchitoches Ford, Specialty Track Co. of Shreveport, Kamagatsu Hooks, and Paul's Farm and Garden, your feed and seed headquarters for the Arklatex. Now back to the guys who probably need to cut back on the feed themselves. It's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
And Johnny Guy's going to tell us what's happening there on Lake Fork here in a minute, right after a quick word from Sealy Outdoors.
Sorry about that. Bob Sealy continues to take tournament fishing to a higher level each and every year. Family is keyword when you think of the Sealy Big Bass Splash series of events. Young or old, big or little, Bob Sealy welcomes you to sign up and wet a hook during one of the many events the Sealy family puts on at the best bass fisheries in the country. Fishing, fun, music, and great food help to make all Sealy tournaments a great family adventure. So go to SealyOutdoors.com to learn more about the best fishing circuit in America.
Has it clouded up outside?
I don't know. I hadn't been out there.
Well, it must have, because it looked like lightning struck Chugbug's head. Look at that hairdo. My gosh.
Now you know why I wear a hat. Now you know.
You look like a rooster on crack.
I'm glad you brought that up. Johnny, are you on the phone with us?
I'm sitting here listening to that.
Okay, Johnny, now you take more precaution than any other angler that I have seen in protecting your skin. I mean, you're out there more than anybody else that we know. And would you say that that's probably the first mistake that most of us anglers make when we hit the lake, is that we're not prepared for this time of the year?
Well, that's true, and mainly because we didn't ever do it when we were young, so it's even worse on us that grew up with wearing a pair of shorts all summer.
Yeah, yeah.
I put the 100 Neutrogena on every morning right after I shave, and wear my sun gloves, and bring out the big hat when it really gets hot. Now you put the canopy on my feet, the T-top on my center console now to help a little bit with the heat. But you have to take that serious, because you can really get messed up with it when you go to the dermatologist and start getting cut on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here it is, the 4th of July weekend. Lots of people going to be on the lake. Do you anticipate, boat traffic being pretty high there on Fork?
It will be. It's already a lot of people get, I guess, the vacation holidays start to show up. But it's a good time. I mean, there's not a lot of fishing pressure, I guess, but it's a lot of boaters and pontoon boats and things like that. But fortunately, we don't have the water skis or the jet skis or that type of party boat. It's more people just enjoying the outdoors and sightseeing.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what would you say is what grade would you put on Graff and his daughter and his grandkids for the last couple? Because they fished yesterday afternoon and again this morning.
Yeah, we started at about 2 o'clock, fished to 6:30. I think we only had 3 bass yesterday and got in a bunch of white bass. And youngsters really had a good time throwing spinning rods, 6-pound line, ultralight, catching that. And then we got 8 bass this morning. So they did play a little bit better today, but overall it's still not where it needs to be. But it was a little encouraging to hit one hole, and we got 6 of them out of that one spot.
Oh, wow. So are you... Excuse me. Are you
to death?
Yeah. Are you kind of like Stephen Johnston was talking about on Toledo Bend? Are you seeing that that there's a holdup on the summer pattern?
It is. It's not as many fish out as it usually is because we still got a lot of flooded willows out here on this lake. There's a lot of bait in shallow water, but more and more I'm getting out there. The water temperature hits 92 degrees in the afternoon, so it's going to get pretty uncomfortable that real shallow water. So I'm optimistic they're going to load up.
I've noticed that, there on Fork, when Steve Nichols and I were with you, it's almost like, I don't know, the way that people were, or that it was described about Kevin Van Dam there on Toledo Bend was that, he excited the school of fish or something along those lines. And we saw the same thing. You catch 1, 2, and then all of a sudden it seems like, you'll catch that 5 or 6 out of that one hole. Do you agree that you kind of got to excite that school?
Yeah, my last decent trip, we had a half-day trip, and we had 2 triples. And, 4 of us in the boat, 3 of them had fish on at the same time. And that's when it gets fun. It's total chaos then, and the school gets fired up, and it cools down, and you're sitting there thinking there's not a fish within 100 yards of you, and all of a sudden they take off again. But I don't know what makes them get stirred up like that, but I sure wish I did. We'd do more of it.
Johnny, did the fish y'all caught today, the fish you caught, I'm sure Steve didn't catch any, fish you caught today, did they come like in the major, like what, when your clock went off?
A little bit. We had a little bit later than that. About I think there was a feed period around 9. Steve said on his app, and it was probably about 10:30 when we started catching these fish. But they might have been biting a little sooner than I pulled up to that hole. I was out there trying another spot, and that's what you got to do this time of year. You just got to do a rotation, and hopefully you hit the right hole at the right time. But our bite's been a lot better late in the evening. I mean, you better be ready at 4 o'clock because that's when it's fixing to turn on, and they'll feed pretty good from 4 to 6:30.
What do you see in is a prime depth? I mean, if you were somebody brand new coming to Lake Fork for the very first time, what would you tell or what would you set your boat at? I'm going to marry myself to this range of water.
Well, I got my Lake Master mapping on my Humminbird set from 20 to 30 foot, color-coded green, so I can instantly look at the terrain around the lake, and it makes all the points. And as long as I'm graphing, looking for fish at the deeper end of that, which would be the 30 foot down to the 20 foot, that's pretty good. Now, the last couple of days, they've kind of moved into 14 to 19 foot range, so I'm going to probably adjust my mapping a little bit and look a little bit shallower. I don't know if we got a thermocline setting in, but strange thing happened about 7 or 8 days ago. All our huge white bass schools that were all over the lake, and we thought there were so many it was ruining the bass business, they disappeared on us, and you just couldn't find them. But the last 2 days, they showed up a little bit, and that's going to make my fishing better. I mean, that's what's been tough last 7 days. The bait wasn't there, and the sand bass, I don't know where they went to, but they're starting to show back up.
So if somebody wanted to come down there and knew they couldn't catch bass, but they wanted to look for the white bass or the sand bass, where are they going to find them, and how do they catch them?
Most of those are on road beds and long points, and pretty much the same place the bass are going to be. It's all related to the shad. You find the threadfin or the gizzard shad schools and balls of them, that's where you'll find the feeding fish. And you just have to throw a big flutter spoon. That'll catch some when they're suspended. And I'm using a little small 4-inch, very small swim bait with about a half-ounce head on it. Gets down to the bottom and just reel it, burn it 3 or 4 trip, winds and let it fall back. And that's what we caught them on today. And using ultralight tackle, it's a lot of fun catching that way. And we caught a pretty good bass on it. A young man did this morning.
One of the things that always intrigued me was, the intimate knowledge that you've got of Lake Fork, that there's a bridge here, there's a roadbed here, there's an extended point here, there's a creek channel, there's a bend in the creek channel, those things like that. Is that something that, somebody can take a shortcut on and try to knock some of the ticks off the clock, if you will? Can you get one of those like Lake Master chips or something along those lines and put yourself a little bit ahead of the game if you were coming over to fish the lake?
Well, I think so. What's really happened is everybody's got that now, and got the new mapping, and they're getting better at their electronics, and they're watching and studying it. And every spot, I mean, the spots that used to didn't see anybody on gets visited 3 or 4 times a day. And a lot of people just ride around and graph. I mean, they'll pull right close to where you're fishing, and I know they're hitting the waypoint if they see me fishing there, but there's a lot of that going on. So I'm finding that some of our, I guess we call them community holes, where we usually catch them all the time, those little bass are shying away from that. But they might only be 200 yards away, a little bit more on an off point. So I'm getting to hunt a little bit, and sometimes this great electronics is not so good when everybody knows where to go.
Are there places that only Johnny Geis knows about that aren't on that, or that maybe?
I don't think so. We've got so many people fishing on Lake Fork and all over. I hear somebody talking about my fish or my hole. I said I probably was fishing your fish before you was born, son.
Are there places on Lake Fork that are accessible by a boat, but they are against the law to fish on?
No, not at all. Except the buoys at the Spain River Authority. We got to keep out on those buoys and at the spillway. And I kind of bumped them with my trolling motor the other day at the spillway, messed up my bracket. So I know I shouldn't have been that close, but I was graphing and wasn't paying attention.
You know, because would you say that that's probably the deepest area of the lake right there?
Yeah, not in front of the dam. Out off to the side, the old coffer dams, when they were building the lake, we've got some 70-foot water down there. And I just got to believe that's where some of these huge sand bass schools went and suspended down about 20, 30 foot in that big open water out from the spillway. But you don't really catch many bass there. These bass are related to the shad, and I just look for bait. And if you're around the bait area and all of a sudden you start seeing the white bass schools, I know the bass are there feeding as well.
Well, that was my question. I wanted to know, what's the deepest you ever caught a black bass?
I've caught them out to 40 foot, 38, 40 foot. They're a little more suspended when you do that. You might be in a steady 40 foot, but you'll see the fish down about 28, 38 foot, somewhere in that range. And that's when you really watch electronics and you pull your lure right up to where the fish is marking at. And in fact, I saw 2 today come up and hit, and just watched them rise up in the water column, raise my bait right up to them, and they took it down. So that's fun to do that way. You got to trust your electronics when seeing that happen.
Teach Graf some of that stuff.
I don't know. Meredith's strokes are pretty good. His daughter, she caught the big ones this week and these 2 days. So she had 3 or 4, right at 5 pounds. So.
Oh, that's
we didn't catch
awesome.
any giants, but the kids had a good time, and that's what it's all about. I'm gonna change off my brim and maybe catch some shad. I saw a guy I know today, and he had 3 or 4 little boys in the boat with him, and they're doing cannonballs off the front of the boat. He's steadily catching bass on live shad. So. So I'm going to try some of that this afternoon.
I'll tell you what now, the trip that Graf and I made with you over there, you caught a bunch of those shad, and they were not apprehensive at all about hammering that shad.
That might be what's happening to my brim bite. They do that usually later August. They change over to just a shad bite, but I just got a feeling maybe that's what's happening. So we're going to go to the boat shed, pick up the shad tank, and learn how to throw the net all over again, and get some of them nasty things in the boat and see if they get bit better. That's
one of the things that customers of Johnny Geis need to know. You are married to success, and I have never in my life seen anybody that took it personally if you couldn't outsmart those fish. Johnny Geis will take whatever knowledge the good Lord has provided him and put it to work. He might get stumped. He might get a little baffled, if you will, but you're going to continue to work on it, and always experimenting with every new possible technology that's out there. Tell Mike, because he wasn't here last week, tell Mike about that slapper thing the trolling motor thing.
A splasher prop.
Splasher, yeah.
We're going to put that on the boat this afternoon, try that again, too. They're using it on the striper hybrids over the Milwaukee, and it just creates motion with the prop barely in the water, just like the trolling motor running with the half of the blade in the water, and it calls those kind of fish to the boat. And I personally sit there 100 yards from those guides over there, and they're just steadily catching fish. We couldn't bag a bite. So I know it will work. I just haven't implemented it here on Fork yet, but I got a few days with my son in Arkansas, and we're going to play around and figure out something new and make these things get back to normal.
Hey, he drilled holes in the blades of that prop and put like big weed eater line in there.
It really makes a racket when you do that, I tell you.
I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. And he says it's working on Tawakoni at some point. You can rest assured.
And the whole time somebody's hitting the bottom of the boat with a broom handle.
Yeah.
My gosh. It looks like the Ringling Circus out there.
Hey, let me tell you what. When we were in Tiffany's Eaton, when people heard that somebody on the lake was catching bass on a brim head, every guy that was in that restaurant immediately, well, it had to be Johnny Geis, because they knew if anybody was going to try it, no matter how ludicrous it sounded, Johnny was going to be the man. And dude, I'm going to tell you right now, the customers of Johnny Geis don't realize just what they're in for, and the amount of trial and error that you went through, and I applaud you for that. That you don't write anything off as just myth or legend without trying it yourself.
Now, we fished up 300 crickets in the last 2.5 days here, and these young boys had a great time. And it's amazing how people get really involved in just the bite, and that's what it's about. Get bit, bring the fish in, have fun with it, take pictures of your fish and turn them loose. And it's a bite to me, and figuring them out and it's great to wrestle them in and fight them in, but once I get the bite, I pass it off, let somebody have some fun with it.
Johnny, if somebody wants to get a little taste of this for themselves, best way to get hold of you?
Well, great. Give me a call at 972-800-3882. That area code number is 972-800-3882. And I'll post our pictures today on my Lake Fork Fishing Guide. It's Johnny Guy's Fishing Guide Facebook page. And I put it pretty much update every day what the bite's going on from that. So hope I get some more customers from the Shreveport area coming down, and got some good days open in July.
Johnny Guys, thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger.
Get up in your high horse, woman. I'll make it up to you somehow.
Welcome back to the final segment presented by Cypress Knee Outdoors, the Red River Waterway Commission, and Bayou Outdoor Supercenter. For all your boating and camper needs, go to Bayou Outdoor Supercenter. Hey, don't forget to like us on Facebook, where you'll find news, tips, and a little humor. That's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show on Facebook. Check us out. One more time, here are the guys who have a true passion for all things related to God's great outdoors. It's Gary McCoy, Steve Graff, and Mike Eccles.
Welcome back to Hook It Up and Track Down. Mike Eccles in the studio. We missed one legend, Harold Allen, but we got the legend, Gary McCoy. And the legend in his own mind, Steve Graff, is out this week fishing. What do we got? We got
the best times
to fish. Okay, here's your Bob Seeley best Big Bass Splash best times to fish. This weekend is rated as good to excellent, with high temperatures in the upper 90s and lows in the middle 70s. Only a slight chance of rain all weekend, with illumination, moonlight, decreasing each night from 16 to 3%. Prime fishing times mid-morning, Friday, 9 a.m. until 12:05 p.m.
You'll go fishing Friday?
Friday?
Yeah.
I might.
Okay.
I might. Let's see, 9:05 to 12:05 Friday morning with sunrise at 6:10 and sunset at 8:21. Saturday, prime time to fish 10:05 to 1:05 with sunrise 6:11 to 8:21 and sunset. And then Sunday, 11:05 a.m. to 2:05 with sunrise 6:11 and sunset 8:21. If you'll notice, each day, 1 hour difference. Mm-hmm. Gets 1 hour later each day.
How much night fishing do you do this time of the year? Ever?
I love to night fish, but I'm generally through by about 7:30.
You're an evening fisherman, huh?
Oh,
speaking of evening, have you got any more of the the Cross Lake tournaments?
The Cash Splash.
Cash Splash.
We have one tomorrow night that should be our last one, but we lost.
Not too late for anybody to enter?
No. Matter of fact, I've had a gentleman called me yesterday, wants to come out and fish for the first time. My daughter-in-law's got a couple of guys, a coach at North DeSoto, that they've never fished. They're going to come out and fish.
Oh, wow.
So it's really amazed me. We've had on the average of 7 teams sign up, new teams every tournament.
What's it taking to win?
It's taken
3 fish limit.
3 fish limit, anywhere from 10 and a half up to 14, 15 pounds.
So it's still, I mean, you better be on your game.
Yeah, you can't afford to lose a fish out there.
Right.
But 3 fish makes it a lot easier. But we do have a Cash Splash out on Cross Lake tomorrow evening. Start taking entries at 4:15. Can't fish till 5:15. Cutoff will be stop fishing at 9. Got to be in the tanks by 9:30. One of the things, little issue we've had with some of the people that are fishing, come out to fish for the first time, that some of them don't realize sometimes you can't be on the lake that day. Do not go fishing tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you're going to come fish the Cash Splash tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
So as far as the report card you'd put on Cross Lake, since they lifted the slot off the lake, any change better or worse?
You know, I think I don't think our weights have improved any. Mm-hmm. But what lifting the slot off Cross Lake did, it opened it up to be able to go to Cross Lake and keep some eating fish.
Yeah.
Which is a complete turnaround of what you and I thought 20, 25 years ago.
It's still hard for me to throw a fish in the live well unless he's going to a tournament.
But the mindset has got to change. Don't go overboard with it. Harvest is part of conservation.
Yeah.
Just like you have to take X amount of deer off of a piece of property, to have a good fisheries, you need to take some fish out. And Cross Lake was not the place to go to catch a mess of fish because of the slot.
Yeah.
It still makes me cringe when I see people throwing, 4 or 5 pound fish in the ice chest. Those are the ones you want to leave in the lake.
Yeah.
But it did open it up for people to go out there and keep some 2.5 pound fish, good eating fish. And when you take those aggressive feeders out of the lake, your upper end fish have more to feed on and do get bigger. So it's all what you want. I mean, if you just want to catch a lot of fish, you don't care how big they are, just go do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But if you really want your weights to be up, take some.
And those scramble lakes include Black Lake, Campty, Caddo Lake, Grand Bayou, Lake Bistineau, Red River, or Toledo Bend. They are going to have the weigh-in there at Red River South Marina and Resort, August 27. Look for those entry forms. This is going to be a doozy. All right, we'll wrap things up for this week. Congratulations again to all the kids of Bossier Parish who just recently competed in the World Championship Archery Tournament, especially the kids of Benton Middle School who are now back-to-back world champions, and Emma Bunch, who won Best in the World. You kids have demonstrated that hard work pays off, but also a big thank you to all the people who helped to bring the gold back here to Louisiana. Unsung heroes like Mama and Daddy, who took time off from work. They played chauffeur to practices and tournaments. They worked fundraisers and spent their own money. To the coaches who worked tirelessly to give these kids the best instruction available anywhere in the world. And to the who spent their own money to help these kids fulfill the dream of success that they will cherish the rest of their lives. Though these people have all stood on the sideline and don't get to enjoy the spotlight of success, this win wouldn't be possible without you. Isn't it awesome that kids at this young age have already enjoyed the thrill of victory in a society where the agony of defeat is too often just accepted? What if all the kids had people in their lives dedicated to seeing them stand in the winner's circle at whatever they chose in life?
15.
Think about that one till we see you again next time for more Hooking Up and Tracking Down.
Cat scratch fever.